You brought up a name before the show that nobody's talking about. Everybody's talking about Carson Soucy, who does have a year left in his contract after this season. But, he's been showcased lately. Scores the winning goal. There's talk about him, Forbert,
Yep.
Hugh Suter, Brock Besser we talked about. But there's another name that I know you brought up before the show started.
Yeah, Don, it wouldn't surprise me if teams have called on Garland this week, and the Canucks have to listen. They're in a position to have to listen. Hey, teams have noticed Garland's play this week, this year, Donnie. 20 minutes last night, he got in the fight with, what's his name at the end? Zegras. The Canucks aren't the only ones making calls this week. Teams are calling Vancouver on their players because the Canucks are not in a super playoff spot to be guaranteed. So the Canucks are getting calls on their guys too. They're not guaranteed to make the playoffs, so teams call Vancouver as well. This isn't a one-way street.
Why wouldn't you call?
Yeah, why wouldn't you call?
1 year left on his deal.
Ask for Myers. Ask for Garland. Ask for guys that can help you in the playoffs. So I just it wouldn't surprise me if teams, Donnie, have called Garland. It wouldn't surprise me.
Drum roll, Ryan, please, if you don't mind. Got it? Garland to Minnesota.
Garland
and who do the Canucks play tomorrow?
Minnesota.
The Minnesota Wild.
Minnesota.
Connor Garland in a Minnesota Wild uniform against the Canucks.
But think about it, Don. Teams don't know if Vancouver's going to make the playoffs, Don. So why not call and see if some of their guys are available? Teams call on other teams' players.
You're just humorless
all
here.
All the time. But I mean, people are going to say, "Oh my God, don't give up Garland." And you've mentioned he's probably been the most consistent forward all season long.
You got to call for him though. Absolutely,
you got to call. You got to check on Myers. You got to check on Garland. You got to check on Vancouver players because the Canucks got to listen on everybody not named Hughes, not named Marcus Pettersson, not named Hronek, and not named Lankinen. They got to check on all their other guys.
We have a tweet to show from TSN's Darren Dreger regarding one of the players we talked about. Number 7 in your Lucky Number program, Carson Soucy of the Vancouver Canucks. We got that, Ryan? Take her away there, Rick.
So New Jersey lands Dumoulin, who played last night.
For Anaheim,
yeah. So
second-round draft pick.
Yeah, second-rounder, so that chip comes off the table. Interest is growing around Carson Soucy of the Canucks. He's got trade protection. It hasn't reached to that point, but a lot of teams calling. So Donnie, his agent, Jerry Johansson, tells me this morning there's nothing. They haven't had contact with Vancouver all week. So if the Canucks are going to move Soucy, they're kind of going to do it at the last second. They haven't talked. I thought because Soucy's an Edmonton native, played in Seattle, played in Vancouver, he would only waive to a Western Conference team. That was my kind of feeling. But now I'm kind of told that he's, you got to look. The Canucks are going to go to Soucy and say, hey, would you go here? You got to be open to all opportunities. You got to look at them all differently. Donnie, I want to get this in because this is important. The Canucks have a ton of extra defensemen right now. Tom Willander's playoffs start next week. His signing could be around the corner. The Canucks have to soon articulate their plans to Willander's advisor, Todd Diamond. All high draft picks out of the NCAA, what do they want, Don? They want to sign and play NHL games. The Canucks' right side is full. But if you trade Soucy and Forbert, it can make it easier to get Willander on the roster. If they don't trade Soucy and Forbert, how does Willander fit, Don? So
Are they sure that Willander's ready for the National Hockey League?
Yeah, that's it.
Or you want to give him a taste?
Yeah, you want to give him a taste. All these guys that come out of the NCAA, they all want to burn that first year. They want to play in the NHL. So I'm starting to look at Willander. This Willander signing could be in 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. This is another one of those dominoes. Soucy, Forbert, Willander, all these things are at play for the Canucks tonight, today, and tomorrow.
Is there interest in Derek Forbert?
Yes, teams are calling on Forbert. But all their UFAs are getting called. Suter, checked in on Suter this morning. Donnie, nothing new there. There's been no contract talks. They're just waiting like everybody else to see if he gets moved. So they're getting their calls.
Do you think teams are more interested in Suter than Besser? And the reason I say that is, first of all, he's having a pretty good season.
Yeah.
He would cost less. And he's a Swiss Army knife.
Yes,
almost literally. But in that, he can play wing, he can play center, he kills penalties. You see him on the power play every once in a while.
Yep.
Do you think teams might be as or more interested in Suter than Besser?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, Suter's going to be a depth move for playoff teams. Really good teams going to want him in the third or fourth line center. Besser, if you're getting Besser and you're coughing up a first-round pick, Don, he's going in the top 6. Like, Besser's not going – no team's going to give up a first-round pick for Besser and then play him in the bottom 6. Besser is going to be if he gets traded, would be for a playoff team who wants him in the top 6. So it's going to be very interesting how this all plays out. And, Don, last night's win, what do you do? They're in the playoff, right?
I know.
What do? You buy or sell, or do you do both? Do you do a little bit of buying and a little bit of selling? If they keep all 3 UFAs, Don, everyone's going to flip out in the city. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to let all 3 of them walk? That conversation in the city.
And then you end up not making the playoffs.
And then you don't make the playoffs. Then what? Then
Maybe.
what? It's going to be fascinating what they do in the next 24 hours.